Welcome to Maritime Law 101, presented by Joe Colbert Stanley. Maritime law is a complex topic derived from centuries of maritime tradition and jurisprudence. In fact, it predates American civil law. It's a specialized area of practice that touches on employment law, contracts and torts, and international treaties and protocols. This course will present an overview of basic maritime law concepts. At the outset, you'll learn about the origins of exclusive admiralty jurisdiction and what elements are required to bring a case into the purview of the maritime courts. By the course's conclusion, you'll have an introductory level familiarity with relevant terminology, including maritime worker classifications and the statutes governing their employment, their rights, and their remedies. Other topics unique to admiralty will also be introduced and certain key cases identified. Where does admiralty jurisdiction come from, you may ask? Well, as we said earlier, it predates American civil jurisprudence. However, in the United States Constitution, it was formally introduced in Article 3, Section 2, which provided that all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction would be conferred to the federal sovereign. Later on, in 1789, in the First Judiciary Act, that's currently codified at 28 U.S.C.A. Section 1333, there it was stated that the district courts would have original jurisdiction exclusive of the state of any civil case of admiralty or maritime jurisdiction, saving to the suitors, and that's an important phrase, the saving to the suitors clause, in all cases all other remedies to which they're otherwise entitled, and any prize brought into the U.S. and all proceedings for the condemnation of property taken as a prize. And that last sentence really referred back to times when we talked about pirate bounty and so forth. If invoked, admiralty law jurisdiction triggers what's known as the Supplemental Admiralty Rules, or the SARs. And while we won't go into great detail about them in this introductory course, they involve the framework and the procedures that have to be adhered to when a maritime law case makes its way through the court system. So what brings a case into the purview of admiralty? What invokes that admiralty jurisdiction, maritime law, law of the sea? Well, this is what I call the planks of a boat case, and they're basically four. Number one, are we talking about an incident that happened on navigable waters? Number two, what type of vessel? What is the status of the vessel we're talking about? Number three, was there a disruption to maritime commerce? And number four, does the case have what we call a maritime flavor? And we'll look at these a little bit in detail, one by one. Navigable waters are described as those that are navigable in fact, as in maritime commerce uses them as a highway, if you will, and it's navigable in its ordinary state. Normally we're looking at waterways between two states or any state and foreign territory, so obviously oceans, rivers, but exclusive of landlocked man-made lakes within one state. So in other words, navigable waters have to cross state lines or go beyond the coast. That's the Daniel Ball test for navigable in fact. The Hasinger-Thailand electric test, on the other hand, looks at the mean high water mark, because sometimes the tide ebb and flow, the area where the incident may have occurred might not be covered by water at all times. So the test there looks at the mean high water mark to determine whether or not it's navigable waters. To discuss the vessel status, we look at use of the vessel. One of the key tests for that was the Lozman City of Riviera Beach, which looked at whether or not the vessel in question was built to navigate on water. Was it capable of being used for transportation over water? Now, this case involved a floating houseboat. and the courts wanted to really determine whether or not it was built for the purpose of transportation on water.